Hello, I'm Harriet Carty from Caring for God's Acre, and thank you very much for inviting me to speak at your autumn conference. Caring for God's Acre is a conservation charity which focuses on the amazing biodiversity, built heritage, and social history to be found in burial grounds of all sizes, types, denominations, from tiny churchyards to large urban cemeteries. You might wonder why burial grounds need their own charity, but they really are exceptionally special and go somewhat under the radar as far as naturalists are concerned in some cases. So we estimate that there are about 20,000 burial grounds across England and Wales, which is the equivalent in land area to Exmoor National Park or the Isle of Wight, something like that. So it's a significant land holding, and particularly important when you think that they are scattered throughout every community. So ideal stepping stones and little hotspots of biodiversity. Of particular importance are three features: the veteran trees within burial grounds, the lichens, and the grassland, the turf, which is usually in often in very good quality, very good state of species diversity, species-rich grassland. The first of my three features, the ancient trees of churchyards. Churchyards can hold a variety of species of ancient tree, but by far the most significant population is that of the ancient and veteran yews. In Britain, we actually hold the bulk of the global ancient and veteran yew population. So it's a real sort of significant feature that I think most people are unaware of. Other countries may have a few, but we have hundreds of them, over 800, and 3/4 of those trees are found within the churchyards of England and Wales. It's extremely hard to age veteran and ancient trees, and yews are perhaps even harder than some other species, as not only do branches tend to descend to the ground where they then take root, but also aerial roots can come down and root around the trunk as well. Some are thought to be millennia old, some predate Christianity in the UK. They're certainly likely to be the oldest feature, older than the church building or the churchyard wall, and some of them may even predate the birth of Christ. The belief is that these are pagan sites which were then taken over and turned into Christian sites as we became a Christian country. Most of these yews are looked after by volunteers. They tend not to have legal protection as they're not viewed as being at risk. So to support and encourage and inform those volunteers is really an important thing in preserving these trees and in managing them well. The second of my two special features are the lichens to be found within churchyards. Churchyards are fantastically good for lichens because they contain stone monuments which have been being erected since about the 17th century. These are at different angles with carvings all over them, creating little nooks and crannies and microclimates, different stone type. They're also extremely free of herbicide and pesticide use, and so they're really excellent for lichens, and a lichenologist on holiday will always scamper to the churchyard as quick as they can, probably to the irritation of their families. We have about 2,000 lichen species in the UK, of which a third are regularly found in churchyards, and half of those are seldom found elsewhere, and in some cases not found elsewhere at all. They become particularly important in areas that don't have natural rocky outcrops. The third of my special features is the turf, the grassland, the species-rich nature of churchyard and cemetery turf. This is due to the longevity of management that most sites have experienced. As I'm sure you'll be aware, we've suffered catastrophic losses in flowery meadowland since the Second World War over the last 60 years. But most churchyards and cemeteries, and even many extensions to churchyards, were actually consecrated prior to these losses. So the turf that was, as it were, preserved within that encircling wall is that old meadowland that we are mourning the loss of so much. And when you then think back to my first couple of slides and my 20,000 churchyards, possibly covering the size of Exmoor or the Isle of Wight, we realise that this sort of arc, this remaining fragment of species-rich grassland might actually be quite significant. It's really worth going out at this sort of time of year within a churchyard or a cemetery to look for fungi. There can be an incredible array of grassland fungi such as waxcaps and spindles. And also earth stars are often found underneath the yew trees. So take a trip out and see what you can find. So as well as my three particular features, the veteran trees, the lichens, the species-rich grassland, churchyards and cemeteries are also excellent in general for biodiversity. They're just a little bit more gently managed on the whole than perhaps the wider countryside and our urban environments. Many species that were common when I was young but are now increasingly under threat are still hanging on within burial grounds, such as swifts, hedgehogs, slowworms. They really are a true ark or refuge for our beleaguered wildlife. So I hope I've convinced you that burial grounds are an important place for biodiversity and an excellent place for naturalists to have a bit of a rootle around and explore and see what can be found. I'd like to now go on to telling you a little bit about a project that we have underway at the moment, the Beautiful Burial Ground Project, which is mainly funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. So thank you very much to any of you who buy lottery tickets. This project is aimed at encouraging people to explore, record, enjoy, and take ownership really of their local burial grounds, and also to make those records, that information, available as possible to the general public. So I'd like to tell you a little bit more about that and about what we're doing with biological records and hopefully how they'll be used to influence management. Over the past 2.5 years, we've been working in partnership with the Church of England, the Church in Wales, and also the National Biodiversity Network, the NBN. And between all of those organisations, we've created a portal which is on the NBN Atlas and which covers all known burial grounds in England and Wales. It looks like this. This is the homepage of the Burial Grounds portal. You find it by choosing that atlas in the box on the right-hand side at the top. And if you press the search function down in the left-hand bottom corner, you can find either a list or a map of all of the burial grounds that so far have been mapped by the Church of England and Church in Wales. This is what the map looks like at the moment. As you'll see, there's quite a few large gaps in it, bits that haven't yet been mapped. The NBN are going to upload several more dioceses in the end of the first week in December. So by the end of the year, hopefully it will be a far more complete picture. I'm just going to now home in a little bit on the Thames Valley. So each round dot indicates a churchyard or cemetery, a known burial ground. And as you can see from the key in the right-hand corner, the colour denotes the numbers of records that we know come from those within the boundaries of those specific sites. We have no buffer to this, so it really is species that are known to have been found within a burial ground. We're hugely grateful to TVERC for sharing a great many records with us. Over 38,000 records known to come from within burial grounds are now available on this system. So thank you very, very much indeed for that. You're the first local record centre to do that, actually, and we'll hope to roll that out across a great many other local record centres across the country. Just to show you how the system works, if you hover over an individual dot, you can then see where it is and how many records are from it, and then click on that and you'll open up and be able to view the records. So these are the species known to have been recorded within that churchyard, All Saints in Chiltern. As you'll see, they're separated into a species tree, which is, I'm sure, will be familiar to most of you who are familiar with record systems. And you can then view the individual records. If you click through on them, you can find out when they were recorded and just generally get a great deal more information. So we're about halfway through this project. It lasts until the end of 2022. And as you see, we've got about half the sites mapped, just over 11,000 of them. But as I say, a lot more will be going up in early December. We've had over 100,000 records, and bearing in mind that that doesn't include the data held by most local record centres, we're really delighted with that. And over 5,500 different species have been found. So a long way to go, but a really exciting start. To tell you very quickly about a second data system, the Church Heritage Record. This is a built heritage system used by churches across England and Wales when planning any sort of change, anything that would normally require planning permission. And we're going to use our system on the NBN and the data that we've generated to put information onto this system so that when planning change, the church decision makers know about biodiversity. They know what designations there might be. They know what species they should perhaps consult an ecologist about. They know whether they've got veteran and ancient trees. And they've also got a summary of the ecological importance to help them inform their decision making. So that's enough about databases and systems. The main important part of our project is about getting people involved, getting people out into these fantastically accessible green spaces in the middle of their communities, seeing wildlife up close and personal, and really discovering the interest and fascination that this gives, and what a rewarding hobby it can be. So we love the naturalists within the Thames Valley to become part of our project. Please just submit any records that you have, whether it's a magpie or a list of rare lichens. We want them all. And if you can submit all of these to TVERC, to your local record centre, they'll be making their way through to us, and that'll be fantastic, and will appear on that map and change more of those white spots showing places with no records, green showing that we're starting to really build up a picture of what's there. We'd love you to go out recording on your own or in small groups, to run activities for yourselves or for the general public, to train people in how to record different aspects of biodiversity. And we can help you with any of these. We have grants to give out to pay for things like trainers. We can organise events for you. We can generally help to make recording really happen in your area. We're hoping that this initiative will last far longer than the Beautiful Burial Ground project with its Heritage Fund grant, and that people will continue recording and adding data into the system for many years to come. And also, on a local level, we hope it will be useful to you, the naturalists, keen on exploring your own local area. You'll be able to look onto this system and see what other people have found and decide whether to visit a particular site that perhaps you've never seen before. So hopefully it will help you to build up that picture of what is happening with wildlife in our towns, cities and countryside. So that's all from me. Thank you very much for listening. Please get in touch. Please check us out on our website. And also please consider becoming a member of Caring for God's Acre. We're a membership organisation and we have very little core funding, so every member is greatly valued by us. Thank you very much again.